Okay guys, I'm back to do some decals. I sanded everything down and did accidentally buff it a little too deep in some areas, but that's a quick touch up with some silver paint. So right now I'm going to get back into decaling the model, and yeah, I gave it a gloss coat and it looks pretty good. So I'm quite happy about that. But yeah, I just want to do a quick little show here of how the decals are. And I'm going to use microset and microsol since these are microscale decals, so I shouldn't have any problem with them. And if I do, I'm a little worried about them conforming around these edges here, you know, because it's kind of got this bumpy texture on here. And oops, I need a cotton swab. Hold on. So if they don't conform well, I'm just going to move it up to a higher grit. Now I ran into a kind of a serious problem. I don't know if I quite touched on this. I let the paint dry too long. I lost interest in this project for a few days, and yeah, a lot of the paint hardened way too much, and so I wasn't able to get everything off, if you can believe it. And it's not bad, but I can kind of see areas in here where it should have come off, and it won't come off. So I'm gonna have to live with that. That's again part of the test of this project, figuring out all these things, what to do, what not to do. That's going to take quite a while to soak in. Another thing I noticed in the kit, I thought that you remember I mentioned that there's these white bands that go on the side of the fuselage, that there were surgical tape. They're not actually included. I thought they were decals. They're not decals at all. They're things you have to paint on by hand. Now, again, I looked at the real picture of this aircraft, and it doesn't have those bands on it. But I thought maybe I'd add them on there, since I actually have real surgical tape. It might be kind of cool. I'm going to do a test and see how it looks. It might be a little too exaggerated, you know, because of its size. But if it actually looks good, I might actually use surgical tape on there. You know, it might be kind of weird and kind of cool to see that on there for a change. Ah, there we go. Perfect. So the first one we want to use here is microset. I quite like this product. If you're going to buy any of these decaling solvents, microset is a good one to have. It's like decal glue. I think that's the best way to describe this stuff. So let me see how far this goes here. Here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Nope. Right there. Okie dokie. So let's add a bunch of this on here. And Tamiya came out with a similar product like this just a little while ago. But a lot of these products, you know, they call these things to be like a 2-in-1, where it's, you know, it's a sealer and it's a solvent, but it doesn't quite work out as well as you'd like in some instances. Oh wow, that laid down very nicely. Okay. And you just line it up there and carefully float it down. Oh yeah, it's in the right spot. Cool. Just need to bend this one up a little higher. There. Get that eyelash out of there. That looks pretty good. Quite happy with that. So let me just press it down, get all the moisture out. Do this nice and gently, going down along the lines. Might need to stab some holes in it later if it doesn't properly conform, but for that all I do is I take a sewing needle and I put it in my pin vise and I just jab all these little holes everywhere. I find that that works fairly well for the most part. Most of the time it works. Sometimes you get really stubborn decals and it's kind of a what can you do scenario. You know, you can only add so many gloss coats and so much solvent, and sometimes they just don't work. It's a sad fact. But for the most part, you take good preparation, you're going to have pretty fair success. Now these look pretty good. I'm quite happy with this. I think this is going to work out really well. And I'll probably come back to this in about 5-10 minutes, maybe with a little more of the microsol here. And again, you just paint it on and kind of add a bit of pressure bit. Not a terrible amount, because the decal will do most, or the solvent will do most of the work for you, so you don't have to always worry about that. So I'm gonna go and yeah, I can already see it working here. Actually, I can see that going over the ribs like that. Looks pretty good. Anyways, I'm gonna go quit. I'm gonna go do the rest of the model, but yeah, these are pretty nice decals. I'm quite happy with these. So I decaled the model. You can see here I added the bomb on the bottom, just the one there, and I'll glue the other two on there. Yeah, I got the engine mounted and the cowling and all that. Unfortunately, all the ignition wires basically cover up any sign of where the engine is. But yeah, I also took off the windows because I wanted to see how they turned out. The maskings turned out pretty well. The maskings that were included with the kit, the white ones, were incredibly tough to peel off. Like they're so thick. A couple times I was worried I was going to actually break the windows. They were very strong, but they look pretty good. I did run into one problem, and that was because these are the windows that you want to have open. I put them on the model and they kind of fell all over the place. They didn't really fit properly, and due to that I had gaps and holes in it. So there's a lot of silver inside here. But for that, all I did was take some Novus 2 here, and I just rubbed it in the inside there with a Q-tip, and it came right off. It's nice and clean now. So those are all good to go. So the windows are done. I can put these all to the side. What else have I got to do? I'm almost done the model, actually. I'm quite happy about that, because I'd like to move on to a few other projects. But yeah, here's the little bombs. I gotta paint the little spinners there in the front. I gotta paint those gold, as well as the one mounted on here. And kind of my next thing to do is the oh, I forgot to paint the other side of the wheels there. But anyways, my next step here is to give it a flat coat. I'm just gonna use some yeah, some Tamiya flat clear. I find this stuff works really well. And yeah, then I'm gonna mount the clear pieces back on, paint up a couple other little things, and I'll be done this behemoth of a project. Alright everybody, here it is. The Vindicator is completed. Like I said, the last few steps were just kind of little touch-ups, quick bits of painting here and there. It's done. Quite happy with it. Not excited 100% about this kit. I have to say, this kit fought me a lot along the way, and although I'm happy enough with the end result, I kind of have a weird thing when it comes to models and stuff. Like if I find a vintage Revel Frog kit, or Airfix kit, or some kind of kit where I can see that it's going to be trouble, or a bit of a handful to work on, I'm kind of more prepared for that. For any kind of issues with the fit, with any seam lines and puttying and stuff like that. But when I'm presented with a kit that it looks like it's going to be very well done, the molds are perfectly clear, they look great, it comes with the masking, the nice decals, the seat belts, all yada yada yada. I'm expecting a more well-engineered kit. And with this one, I was expecting that, and I didn't get it at all. And I kept running into problem after problem. And so it was me not being as prepared for something like that. And because of that, I began to lose interest in this model. I've had it almost on my shelf, or my bench here, for about a month. It's just the beginning of August now. And I'm quite done with it. That was basically it. There might be a few issues that are inaccurate, things that I could go ahead and fix and make them look better, more presentable, but I'm just quite frankly done. I'd like to have this on the shelf and move on to other projects. And so that's basically where I'm sitting at it. The engineering of the plastic is really well done. The fit could have been more improved on. The decals were pretty good, except for the bottom ones. They slivered up. I don't know, they're all a bit shriveled here on the bottom, and don't know how well that'll kind of pick it up on there. But yeah, that was not pleasant, and I did everything I could. I stabbed them, I cut them, I did all sorts of work on those to hopefully get them to conform, and they just wouldn't do it. And so I was like, yeah, whatever. Really happy that I got to play around with this weathering. I really like the weathering that I have. It's a bit extreme, and I found out the reason for that was what I did is I put the masking solvent on, and then I spray painted it, and then I did all the little, different shades of gray and blue in there. And I left it alone for like 3 days. And that was really bad because the paint had basically hardened over everything, and so I was kind of sanding away the actual paint instead of just all the masking agent that I wanted to get rid of. So that was my fault. I learned a lesson from that to do it a little quicker next time. Next time I do something like this, I want to try Mr. Hobby solvent. It seems to be like this stuff kind of dries very flat, so it's a bit harder to find and pull it off when you need to. And I'd like to try their stuff. It looks like it stays kind of more raised up, and that'll probably be, better for a future project. Quite happy with the colors, quite happy with playing around with the different weathering shades. I think from a distance when you look at it, it looks pretty weathered, and I'm quite happy with the overall thing. The windows were not nice. They were very, very heavy. As far as the transparency, they were quite cloudy. They don't fit quite too well. And that was a problem with the kit. Was some of the pieces, it looked very impressively engineered again, but then like when I built the frame, for the cockpit, the side walls and stuff, they were incredibly fragile, and that was another thing I got to go pin down, where the instructions were not very clear, descriptive instructions. They give you reading on the side, and the picture is very vague, and I don't like that. It was very, very hard to navigate around sometimes, and a lot of times I was just guessing, and kind of like, okay, maybe this fits here, who knows. And yeah, some of the parts again didn't fit, but whatever. I'm happy it's done. I'm quite happy with the overall finish of the kit. This isn't exactly a kit I would recommend kind of to anybody unless they were a much more advanced modeler, willing to put in the time. Had I known this kit was going to be difficult, I probably would never have picked it up. But whatever, I barreled through it and it's done. I'm quite happy with the end result again. But you know, I don't know if this is like the bad Accurate Miniatures kit, or they're all might be like this, but I still want to get their Avenger and their Dauntless, and to play around with this, getting the silver effect, for me, totally worth it, because I'm really happy I did the test and it looks good. So that's all I'm going to say, guys. It might not be for you, might not be for me, but it might be for some other modelers out there. I'm going to go now, and like I said, I'm really happy to have this done. I'm going to go put it on the shelf. I'm going to clean off my hobby desk here, and I'm going to go build something else, something a little bit more fun in my opinion. And but I hope you guys enjoyed this build series. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. This is Rebels of Cloud9. If I haven't taught you anything, at least you've learned what not to do. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great summer.